Gal here from First Reviews. Very excited to talk here with stuntsman Jeff Aro, who has worked on films such as 300, Deadpool, Star Trek Beyond, and War for the Planet of the Apes, as well as shows like Arrow, The Flash, Lost in Space, The Man in the High Castle, as well as a gem I love, The Tomorrow People 2014, and one of my dad's favorites, Hell on Wheels. So, for those who are less familiar with the world of stunt choreography, can you talk as a stuntsman about your process collaborating with the actors and other stunt coordinators and performers to create the choreography that's followed in the shooting?
Absolutely. This project was probably the most complicated, um, just with in terms of moving parts and our our incorporation of bending and training. We had There was a lot to take into account because we were so involved in the story. Sometimes stunts is just spectacle, and sometimes, in this case, we're a large part of the story and character development. So my first step in this approach was to examine the world. The beautiful part is that the animation is so accessible and is so phenomenal. I didn't grow up on Avatar, but I did grow up on wuxia cinema, like Feng Seok, Once Upon a Time in China, Chinese Ghost Story. So the character was it was amazing to me and super important, because it was something that I was really familiar with. So our approach was to understand that world because we wanted to add breadth and depth to the story, like physical storytelling versus animation. There's absolutely a value to added to this. So I wanted to make sure that we were making strong choices. Um, our primary function is to make sure people are safe. So what we aim to do is make sure that people understand what we're doing. So we use tools like previs. We'll previs the action sequences as we interpret them as on the page. Again, the value that we had in the animation was super useful. And when you get to sequences like Po Hai, I think you'll really get to see it because we made an effort to really homage the animation and do moments, kind of like when you see in the Boomy trailer where Aang and Boomy are fighting. We wanted to make sure that
Mhm.
people understood that we were serving the best interest of the story as a whole. And whenever we could, we were paying homage to the original source content. But then we also got to do amazing things like the Air Nomad, like that whole sequence where we get to see why and how it fell apart, and why that genocide and how that genocide occurred. I think those are the parts where I think we can really add to the story and the universe. So to sum that up, we make an effort to understand the story as a whole, and then we previs, present those, try to get feedback from our creatives and our cast, and then we create training regimes to help guide us to there. Because we never want to be just throwing the stunt man whenever we can. And in this case, we did it a lot. I'd say close to 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it is our cast doing the action. Because we understood the story, where the arc was going, we knew what to train them for. You can do incredible things with time and people that are willing to work hard, and our cast are willing to work hard. So we did torture them a bit. Utkarsh, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Utkarsh was our boomy. And I mean, there was points where I was like, we will give you this cookie if you work harder and do this backflip, because he was starving himself to like doing that hard diet to really get cut and shredded. So that was our little joke. He's an incredible human and worked so hard. And so it was really my job to help create the workflow so that we could manage risk
Yeah.
and make sure that people weren't getting injured. So in a situation like Utkarsh, I had to make sure that we were managing fatigue, because people want to push themselves and want to do it all. But if we peak too quickly, that's when you strain muscles and hurt yourself. Um, so I made sure that we were always acting in the best interest, and trying to really sometimes put our egos aside and say, okay, it's time to put the stunt man in, because it's like we've been working for 12 hours and we're tired. But it's on your reverse, all the important stuff we got. So That
Nice.
is really my job is. And the way I accomplished that is I had two really extremely talented creative people underneath me. I had Alan Tang, who was our martial art trainer. He trained Simu Liu for Shang-Chi. He like prepared the Beijing Wushu, the martial, the North American team for the Beijing Olympics. So like incredible trainer.
Wow.
And I had Alex Kiskovich, who was our everything cool guy. Like if you see the Deadpool 3 trailers, he's rocking out and you see his style and the storytelling that he brings. So with my technicians, with my like creative coach, my martial art coach and my creative human, this is the workflow that we brought. And it was just my job to oversee it and make sure that we were making strong choices and taking care of our cast.
When you're working with such a beloved source material, there's a lot of pressure to create this immense world with a massive scale. And how much of that would you say you wanted to draw from the feel of the animation, and how much did you set out to create from scratch?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, we never wanted to deviate from the animation. We always wanted to act in the spirit of, if that makes sense. We really wanted to make sure that Zuko had the moment where he's expressing himself and he's defining himself with his martial art form, bending. You know, we wanted to make sure we were doing that, but we also wanted to make sure that we were being honest with the character with that Dallas was creating. Um, I never wanted to be the person that was like, here's your move. This is what you're doing. I wanted to be the person that was like, here's the universe. This is the difference between airbending and fire, like the sharpness of fire and the continual circular movement of air. Like we were there to be like dialogue coaches to help them understand. But because we had enough time to train them in the beginning and they understood the vocabulary of bending, we just wanted to be there to support them. So what you see in this version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the ultimate collaboration of artists that really care, that are as big ups to Jabbar Rashani. Jabbar Rashani oversaw all of the bending, VFX, and all of the
Mm.
post production. And boy, like you pour your heart and soul into something, and that you just hope that the people care that are coming after you and that are doing
Yeah.
the version, and you just see the love, like the sound design, like when people bend. I was in Africa, and when you hear a lion roar, it like affects your chest. Like you get goosebumps because it's so powerful. Like every time people bend, I can, you know, when you got the sound turn up, it's amazing. Like the amount of people that cared about this project. I hope people love it because I'm excited to share with my family. It's going to be so good.
Not to mention, we've seen a lot on your Instagram. You're managing to share this world of characters and stories with your family. Could you talk a little more about what that's like?
Oh, like we have two energetic little boys and they're running around bending. Like it is incredible. Like this morning, my son Jude is running around. He's like, I am airbending you. And it's fun. Like welcome to our house. This is our living room. So like our floor is rubber and with tatami mats on it, so you can see that it's something that you can fall down on. So our level of play is fun, especially when they start running around. I'm earthbending you, Dad.
Is
It's amazing.
there anything else you want audiences to notice about the different fighting styles for the different nations or the different bendings?
Yeah, like it was really important for us to define the world because it felt like it was a language. And what we were trying to do is make sure that there's these little gems. If you were a fan enough of martial arts and of the series, that you could see the difference between air and fire, like they have different similar physical attributes as elements, but then if that movement didn't reflect that, I think there'd be a lost opportunity. So I hope that you can see those differences. And then when our characters travel to different places and interact with different masters, when you can see that Katara was influenced by Boomy because there's like discs of earth or ice, you know, like I like those gems are there. And I hope that the audience sees them. So please let me know. Please, constructive criticism, always open to it. So like hit me up, Instagram, Jeff, that didn't work. Jeff, oh, I loved that because yeah, like we put a lot of effort into it. My team really made sure that we were trying to help support the storytelling with that kind of physical vocabulary.
Amazing. Well, I want to ask you more about that generally. You've been into martial arts since you were 5 years old, if I'm not mistaken. What about martial arts continues to inspire your work in every continuous project?
Like what's amazing about martial arts and that applied so well to this project is that you learn a lot about a culture. You learn a lot about the geography that's there. You learn a lot about how people interpreted problems and dealt with fear. Um, and like Shaolin monks were martial art monks who were priests um, that trained to do the highest level martial arts because it was important to them to connect their mind and their body and also defend themselves. Like to me, what an amazing element. So I'm so excited to share this with my boys so that when we travel to Shaolin Temple, that they'll have something tangible to like connect with because they definitely need some kung fu in their life.
So there's almost like that connection of culture and history through the martial arts on screen that you can then incorporate into real world sites and so on.
Absolutely, like something like our niece that had like left hand, right hand, and then the difference between like a martial art that was developed on the plains versus the ones that were in the mountains, and the way that affected the stances and their philosophies. It's really cool. You learn a lot about people. It's kind of like dance. Like you learn a lot about people and how they celebrate with dance.
Amazing. Well, in The Last Airbender, you managed to try new things, work harder, discover new challenges, and so on. Throughout your career, how have you strived to make your work singular and unique while challenging yourself?
I think the thing that I try to do the most is listen. Um, I I want to make sure that we understand, and when I say we, on a project like this, it's a team. So it really becomes about communication. Uh, I want to make sure that we understand the story that is being told so that we can make strong choices. And in the end, that ends up being choices that become safe because we're not in the wrong time zone. We've designed action that supports the story that we can prepare our cast for, and that it's incredible what humans can accomplish with time and hard work. Like actors can do amazing things as proven by the Jackie Chans and the Tom Cruises of the world. Like you can do incredible things if you're focused and training on something specific. Um, so yeah, listen, I try really hard to define my career by making sure that we're supporting the creatives.
That's a beautiful answer. Well, Jeff, it's been lovely picking your brain about the world of stunts and getting into your process and this world that now you'll be able to share with your family, but also all the audiences who are excited to check this out on Netflix this Thursday. So, Avatar: The Last Airbender drops on February 22nd on Netflix around the world. And I can speak for myself that I'm very excited to see how all the action has turned from animation to live action.
Well, please share with friends and family because like this is a world that is so big and expansive. I hope we get to continue telling the story. Like it is amazing.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll be back here for the next season as well. Jeff, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much again. We'll chat soon. Take care.